Thank you, Ron. Thank you, Angelbeat, and thank you, distinguished panelists and people that are attending, all the good people out there. So I want to talk briefly. I just want to mention, first of all, that this is like such a huge subject. We could literally spend days on this. I'm going to go to the most salient points I hope you guys will be able to take away. And I want you guys to know that Checkpoint's here for you: hybrid cloud, cloud security, on-premise security, developer security. We do it all, and in an environment where customers are using platforms and technologies from different vendors and tech platforms, open source, third party, available code. It's important that you can have kind of a holistic view or comprehensive view on your cybersecurity. How you're doing with your organization, your overall posture, and then dealing with threats. So I will talk about generative AI a little bit, large language models and API cybersecurity risks and opportunities, because there's not one customer that I talk to that is not adopting generative AI. I mean, let's just face it, it's been around for a while. I'll talk about some deep fake stuff that we know that have been out for years. The technology is getting better. However, Chat GPT just blew the rails, right? Like just blew everything off the track. And I know every customer is like, how can I adapt, this technology? I'm not going to pick winners or losers of technology platforms. I'll say OpenAI has really pulled everything together, and we'll talk about that. There are risks in adopting new technology. In ISC squared, as a CISSP, there's a triad for confidentiality, integrity, and availability. And we don't want an organization to adopt an emerging technology without understanding the risk. Are they incurring risk? What is the reward? What's the trade-off of those of them adopting that technology? There's some really good frameworks for corporations now for open AI, for generative AI, for large language models, and we'll briefly talk about that. If you care about bug bounty opportunities, Microsoft and Google, OpenAI, they all have bug bounty programs now for generative AI. So if you're interested as like a defender or a red team person, you're coming up in cybersecurity, there's some really good opportunities to learn there and actually participate in bug bounty programs. I probably won't show that, but in this deck, you will be able to get those links. And then I want to talk about what Checkpoint is doing from a cybersecurity perspective, how we can help you with these and how we have use cases for various scenarios. All right, so generative AI, this is including large language models. And I'm saying API because application programming interface is basically now pretty, APIs are like 90%. We have machines talking to machines, services talking to services. And a lot of these things are driven for large language model development for applications using LLMs is actually using API calls. So API security is like huge and important for 2024. It's been important, but I think people are really now starting to understand how important it is. And I want to briefly mention that. So I've been talking for years on cyber warfare. I think I presented here on Angelbeat a couple of years ago, Ron, about deep fakes and voice fakes and news fakes. The technology, these are all generative AI technologies. They've been out there for a while. So if you ever want me to come and talk to your organization about that, it's a separate deep dive. There's so much amazing technology out there that's used for good and also used for the adversary. I won't want to go into depth on those, but just know these are all usually the same generative AI platforms that are able to generate really convincible, high quality, almost Hollywood quality videos, images, and actually we cloned voices quite well for a Good Morning America segment. So it's very doable, and that requires, like, out of people process and technology, that requires that we get people in your organization aware that these technologies exist. And just this is a lot of training. Detection technologies are racing. Everyone's racing to have really good detection technologies. So on these uses of adversarial type deep fakes and generative AI, we've got some great research and some links for you here. Right now, they're actually been used in several situations where cyber criminals impersonated CEOs with voice fakes and so forth. So definitely with the election coming up, be aware and probably let your organizations know about this in your training efforts. Generative AI is a if you would say it's a taxonomy. We have machine learning, we have artificial neural networks. These are all kind of classified under AI. So if you look at it like branches, we have visual, we have audio, we have text generators and code generators. As you will see with like OpenAI, we have DALL-E 3, I think is out now. The Some of the platforms for visual for basically video generation have been out. Designer generators like Midjourney. You guys are probably aware of these. Audio, I've checked out like numerous. Lyrebird, there's like 11 Labs. These things work really well. Text generators are like your chat GPT, right? And then code generators. I don't know if you guys are aware, but like, I mean, Microsoft has a great, just Amazon has Code Whisperer. Like they are all the technology platform companies are actually coming out with like, hey, I can help you with your code. I can help you improve your code. I can help you actually write your code, or I can write your code. I think these are the ones that I'm most concerned about, especially if the developers are not aware and not testing properly or understanding what the code is doing. But these are all pretty much pulled together now by the big tech platforms. So like OpenAI, you can do all these things. Now we have text to image generation. This is just a really good eye chart for this was like snapped like last year, mid-year. And I can't tell you, there are so many AI companies now. It's insane. I think we're seeing about 2,500 new registrations of domains. Many of them which are not legitimate .ai domains every month. So I just want to talk about when we talk about corporate use of adopting technology and establishing guardrails and corporate use, acceptable use policies, human-centered AI, which it should always be. How are these things? What are the business use cases so that we're actually creating innovation or competitive advantage with adopting generative AI or reducing, not the number of employees necessarily, but reducing like the touch points that are very difficult, improving customer service and all that. Then we have like, hey, I am using generative AI to defend my organization. Or the third kind of approach is a view or perspective, if you have your glasses or field glasses on, is the adversary's use of generative AI. So now I'm going to switch kind of into the defender versus adversary use of generative AI. So Checkpoint, we have right now over 40 AI-based engines. So this is algorithmic machine learning, right? So machine learning, artificial neural networks. We're using that with our Threat Cloud AI, which is a huge data lake of threat intelligence, indicators of compromise, TTPs, heuristics. And basically that allows us to provide a high degree of confidence with showing you real contextual threats that are hitting your environment that you can block on, you can prevent on. When you have a high degree of confidence, then you feel comfortable as an organization is blocking those type of events. We are using AI for genotyping malware. So new malware looks similar to another one, some different behaviors, some different TTPs or IOCs. Basically, then we go, okay, this is very much similar to this. It's a new variant, or it's a totally new malware. And blocking. So Defender also, security analysts are already using generative AI. We're seeing red teams actually using generative AI to do basically pen testing against their own organization, or purple teaming. They're using atomic red team tools and automating them using GAI. Help you write your code, as we talked about already. The AWS team talked about Code Whisperer. You can use generative AI to help you write your code. Find bugs in your source code. Big. But be careful not to expose your source code, as some organizations have done so already. It will help you write your, cybersecurity policies if you want, and you can gamify security. It's great for training. On the adversary side, so the bad guy side, we've seen numerous attacks on OpenAI, generative AI. tools and platforms. We know that these are used for deepfakes and bots. We have really good bot detection. Deepfake video and audio detection, everyone's trying to get better on that, and that's a big challenge. Writing malware for dummies, I make a joke of it, but like if it's a non-English speaker and they want to write a really great letter from a big bank, it will be flawless. And then they can use generative AI to actually create a very sophisticated phishing campaign to launch their malware. Phishing email, again, that business email compromise is still like the #1 way of attacking. It's so ridiculous. It shouldn't be, but we have protections for all of that. And then for the bad guys, they can actually find some good landscape where they can attack. So it's easier for them to automate some tools to go out there and do reconnaissance. And then it's easy, still fairly easy to, if your prompt engineering capabilities are good, you can circumvent the ethical guardrails in some of the AI platforms, including using like Telegram. Some of this is being improved rapidly, but just be aware. Adversary use of generative AI. So these are like Fraud GPT, Worm GPT. This is a big one. Poison GPT, Wolf GPT, all these guys, and you'll get this in the deck, but these are actual real uses of generative AI for the bad guys. So copycatting, hacking tools, launching sophisticated business email compromise. This is becoming a favorite. Spreading fake news, disseminating. You can use TensorFlow and tweet generator to actually do quite a bit of damage in spreading fake news and creating and spreading it. But just know that Poison GPT is happening quite a bit. And then the bad guys, they love to share how to be really good bad guys. So Darkbart and Darkbart are generative AI that they're using on the dark web to actually kind of sell services to other criminal gangs, cybercriminals, and actually how to be better at what they're doing. All right, so what do we do? Oh my God. Well, checkpoints here for you. You got all these great, amazing vendors that can help you. But there's some really new frameworks that I want to mention because not everyone knows about these. So first of all, if you like NIST, I'm a big fan. I'm former military, so I really like in government, I like NIST. They have a risk management framework. So if your organizations we're already adopting generative AI, the horse is out of the barn. But now we need controls, we need technology controls, we need corporate controls, we need some policies and some GRC kind of framework around it. This is a great framework. So there was that. And then I love OWASP. OWASP just came out with the top 10 large language model risk. And I think particularly we must pay attention to data protection. But prompt injection, just like we can SQL inject, we can inject in, this is web API type capabilities, we can prompt inject. And also understanding that we can either input or receive protected data, which is super important. So there's exposure for data. Software supply chain vulnerabilities, can't speak enough about that. Model theft, now intellectual property of creating your models, if you're building with your data and your platform teams in-house, this is now intellectual property for your organization, can be stolen. You guys know about the OWASP top 10 for API security. Please, please, please. You're going to be using APIs for this stuff. Get API security, put it on your API gateways. Checkpoint can help you with that. Understanding flow logic and business uses, or do we have APIs that are they need to be retired? Are they exposed and they weren't supposed to be publicly? These things are super important. And then I just love this. MITRE came out with Atlas. So it's an artificial or adversarial threat landscape for artificial intelligence systems. This is the MITRE attack framework. This is taking that framework now and applying it for generative AI, which is fascinating and amazing. And you can adopt this in your organization right now. So learning ops, I got some books, I've got some bug bounty programs, but I want to talk about some use cases specifically for Checkpoint in the last minute that I have. We can help you with guardrails. So this is across any platform that you use, any technology platform. We can help you ensure that you're not inputting sensitive data. We can put guardrails around that. We have deep packet inspection using application control and URL filtering. We have in our quantum gateways, whether they're virtual, running as a container, running as a virtual machine or EC2 instance, we can actually, or a physical gateway, we have rule bases that actually inspect that URL content, and they can actually see, we have application signatures for the big AIs, and we can see what is being input into there. And then all of the cloud application, all of the applications that are running on cloud infrastructure, including microservices architecture, we support that. Checking your code as well, protecting your data from data leak and over LLM. So again, quantum, and we use content awareness to do that. And we have DLP protection in there. API security, we have schema validation. We now have API discovery, which is very exciting. And then we also, our deep DNS, we use this DNS reputation, deep DNS, we know DGA. We basically see all these impersonation sites, which are so important that you block those. Especially what our company did was basically create a landing page for all of our people to go to, that these were approved corporate AI, generative AI platforms. So we go to the landing page, then you launch off of that. So we can somewhat control that. If people are in your organization or just browsing and Google searching or Bing searching, Brave searching, and they go out and find, hey, there's this .ai site's going to do everything I want, and it's not actually corporate, approved. You can actually decide who can go to what sites, and you can set up role-based access control for what sites can be accessed and by whom within your organization. So we can help you with all those guardrails. So technology, but people on process training, awareness, and all of those things. So I really appreciate you guys, and my time is ended. So thank you very much.